Hey Tarot Tribe, it's Dustin from A Modern Metaphysic Man, and today I thought we could take a dive into the Brady Tarot, which I was super excited to get last week when I took a trip up to Denver with my mum to visit a whole bunch of cool metaphysic shops up there. And I picked this up at Ritual Craft, which, if you're not familiar with, she has been running an Instagram account for years now, and she has such a really cool eclectic taste and take on all things metaphysical and pagan and witchcraft. And so if you don't follow her, check her out. I'll put a link to her Instagram in the description below so you can check it out. But onto the Brady Tarot, right? Super excited to get this because it is done by a local artist, at least local to me, being in Colorado. The artist Emmy Brady is also from Denver, which is super cool. So yeah, I did open this once, but I kind of put the package back together so we can kind of go through it together. So the outside comes with this simple paper band that says the Brady Tarot, a 78 card artist deck of hand colored line cuts by Emmy Brady. And if you're not familiar, line cuts mean woodcut block prints. On the side it says inspired by animals and plants of North America, and it has an image of the hermit. And on this side it says includes a full-length book written by Rachel Pollock. And then if you take this off, what you're left with off here without being too noisy, it'll come off. There it goes. Is this really cool wooden box, which is awesome. This box is so cool. I love this box. It has a magnetic closure, which is fantastic. It's laser engraved with the Brady Tarot on top, and then each of the suits, which you'll see are not the normal suits, the feathers, the horns, the arrows, and the roots on all four sides. There's nothing on the back. But yeah, really nice, well put together box. You slide it open. You slide it open, you get your guidebook, which is wonderful. It's really well printed. It's got a nice cover. It has beautiful art on the back, front, and inside. There's lots and lots of text about each of the cards, which is fantastic. It's a really well thought out guidebook. It also discusses the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meaning of the cards, and then any sort of changes or alterations or additions that were made to each of the cards by the creator. So that's really cool. And then inside you find the deck. Now this was shrink wrapped. It's not because I couldn't wait. But yeah, inside you find the deck tucked inside this nice little pillowy bed of awesome fabric. So let's put that over here so it's away. So first thing you'll notice is that the deck is, sorry, that was probably really loud, is thick. It's a chunky deck. And excuse the scratches on my hand. We have a new kitten in the house who likes to be a little rougher than she should when she plays. So you'll notice that the deck is really chunky. The cardstock is really thick. It's super duper thick. And it is lush. It's like silk. It is the nicest feeling deck I own by far. The only things that maybe come close to this are my Corta de Tarochi by Il Melegano, or maybe the Wild Unknown Tarot. The cardstock and the printing and the finish on the cards are just, they're luxurious, and it's awesome. You can see the card back follows the same woodcut style. Each of these little bands represents the different suits within the deck, and you'll notice that each suit or major arcana card has these like bands of elemental associations. So earth, fire, water, air. So orange is air, fire is red, water is these blue, and then earth is this like wood looking border. And then, of course, I'm sure you noticed that the deck itself has this antique gold finish on the side, which is the nicest gilding I have ever come across in a tarot deck thus far. There's no sticking, no, you know how sometimes gilded decks will have like, you can feel like a lip on the backs of the cards. None of that. It's spectacularly made, like hands down. You're making a tarot deck, or Llewellyn, or Los Garabio, if you're watching, this is how you make a tarot deck. This thing is phenomenal. So yeah, let's get into the flip through. These cards are awesome. There's lots of symbolism in them. The artist very much did their research and took the time to really include a lot of the traditional symbology in it, as well as some more modern interpretations, which is really cool. So let's get started. The Fool. Super cute little guy. You still get that sense of starting out on a journey. He's young, but obviously he's just about to fly. You know, he's got one foot out of the nest already. Maybe he's already started flapping because his feathers falling. You got the mountains in the background. Same sort of traditional symbology that you can pick up from in a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The Magician holding each of the implements, so the feather, the arrow, you have these horns on either side of him, creating these rivers that flow into the roots. Super cool. And you even have a little ink bottle and quill very top. The High Priestess, which is a beautiful owl. You still have the symbols of the High Priestess, the triple aspects of the goddess. It's just a beautiful card. The Empress, the Emperor, still enthroned with the ram heads that you see traditionally, as well, or the signs of Mars. Hierophant, you still have the keys. You still have these church windows depicted by these branches of this cherry tree. Each of the major world religions and their symbols. Levers. Chariot. Strength. Really beautiful strength card. You have the snake at the bottom forming the Ouroboros, which, you know, is the infinity symbol of the snake eating its own tail. This huge grizzly bear with the two falcons or eagles soaring over top of them. You don't get that sense of comforting strength, I guess, from this. It's a little bit different. It's a raw animal strength. Hermit. This lantern and the moon behind him. Love this Wheel of Fortune card. It being the spider web and the cycle of the butterfly and moth. So, you know, you have its egg state, it as a caterpillar in the cocoon, and then fully grown, which I think is really cool. Justice, which is a vulture, interestingly enough. So there's some definite tones there being rendered. Hanged One, the Hanged Man is a little possum. Death, Love this death card. Because even within death, there is life. There's a little alive. I think it's a cockroach or some sort of bug, but he's there, and you have these plants growing, right? So the ending of one thing and the start of another thing, right? And how the roots of those plants are being fed by the bones beneath it. And then you also have the jaws of death being represented at the very bottom here, which I think is really cool. It's just fascinating. Temperance, a willow tree entwined by two snakes, with the water below, a raven and an eagle flying above. Tons of symbolism here, just full of it. It's great. Double card. A tower, which is this tree full of birds that were living inside of it, being struck down by lightning. Things out of their control. The star. I love this star. I almost want to get this tattooed on me. It's like a diamond on paper. So pretty. The moon, again, harkens back to traditional tarot decks with our little lobster friend down there. The sun, stunning. Judgment. You have this flock of bats coming out of the cave to swarm around this eagle who has caught a snake, who is just like he's still forming that infinity symbol. In the world, tons of symbolism, right? You have a setting sun, you have the roots of the tree with the raven and the owl. You have this leaf in the center of what is an infinity symbol. You have the horns pouring forth water. You have the arrow. You know, the feathers are obviously representing the birds. It's all there. And then we get into the minor arcana. Now, the minor arcana, like I mentioned earlier, does not follow the traditional tarot suits of pentacles, pentacles, cups, wands, and swords. Instead, what we get are arrows, roots, horns, and feathers. So this is the one of arrows, two of arrows, three of arrows, and as you'll see in each of the pip cards, that there is a keyword associated with all of them. I'm really indifferent to keywords, and the way these are done are really not overbearing, and I do primarily agree with a lot of them, so I don't really have a huge issue with it. But if you're not a fan of keywords, probably not something you'll enjoy about the deck. Passage. I love the symbolism in this. You have this falcon who's obviously escaped from his falconeer, right? Because here's his glove that's still tethered to his foot, with the arrows being fired in the direction of the falcon, and he's flying out over this lake, right, into freedom. Style, oppression, anguish, and obviously the arrows are swords, right? I hope you put that together. 10, finality. Daughter. Now this card is interesting to me because it's a sloth. I don't think we have sloths in North America. So for a deck that is allegedly based on North American animals, and there's one other card in here, there's a card that depicts a cheetah, and both times I come across them, I raise an eyebrow because everything else is immensely North American, except for the sloth and the cheetah that kind of appear out of nowhere. So I'm kind of I'd be curious to know why these choices were made. I'll probably go through the book and look and see if maybe there's a clue in there. But if you know, feel free to drop a comment below and let me know because I'm very curious about that. The Son of Arrows. Yeah, no humans in this deck. Completely animal based. The Mother of Arrows. And I do like that the families aren't all the same animal. In a lot of animal decks, you'll see all of the court cards being represented as a family of animals, and I don't know. I like the idea of the families being comprised of different animals, different species of animals. Mother of Arrows. No keywords for the court cards though. So then we get into the feathers. The feathers are wands. So the one of wands or the one of feathers, inspiration. 2 is success. 3 is vantage. And this, here we go. This is the cheetah, right? Again, it seems oddly out of place. The 4 is optimism. 5 is rivalry. The 6 is victory. Again, the snake forms the infinity symbol. Power, 2 buffaloes. Beautiful. In this thunderstorm. I love it. I love that the lightning isn't striking the ground. The cloud is striking the other cloud with the lightning. Swiftness. Poor little squirrel has no idea what's coming. I mean, look at his face. That face. He's like, doo doo doo. Conflict. 2 hummingbirds fighting over a cactus. Burden. The daughter of feathers. Son of feathers. The mother of feathers. Father. Then we get into horns, and horns are, of course, cups, right? We have joy. Traditional symbology here, right? The cup overflowing with a bird. Union. I love the symbol, the infinity symbol again being represented by the entwined water being spilled out of these 2 horns that are being sort of carried by these 2 birds. Be a celebration. Or is it apathy? 5 is loss. 6 is happiness. 7 is the breach. 8 is departure. 9 is fulfillment. 10 is overflowing, which, again, traditional symbology here, the overarching rainbow, the cups sort of showering down on this happy family of birds. The artist really put a lot of time into researching and understanding traditional symbology and then incorporating it into her work in a way that is really meaningful, that is not overly bearing, but also works and gives you, the reader, the ability to still read the cards in a traditional sense, which I thought was really awesome. She did a really good job. And Daughter of Horns. Antelope. We got lots of these guys running around around my house right now. Son of Horns. Mother of Horns. Father of Horns. I don't know if you can see the little alligator circling down here, which is an interesting piece, right? Symbolically, we have storm clouds coming, and he's stuck on this tiny little island being circled by alligators, right? But he still stands proud, and he's facing his predator, right? It's a really cool way of rendering that card. Then we get into roots. Roots are pentacles. So we have enchantment, equilibrium, again the infinity symbol, all throughout this deck. Super cool. You kind of get the circle cyclical sort of way of life right here with this family of rabbits living in the root of this infinity tree, and this fox coming in and snatching one of them for dinner. This 3 card, 3 of roots, is really cool because you have this badger, right, with who represents work, so he's building his den, but you have this oak tree in the background with the fall foliage, which is really beautiful, and then these church-like windows, and they're very obviously windows because you have the sky in the background that's blue and it's white when you look through the windows, right? So going into another world almost. 4 is preservation. 5 is scarcity. This poor guy. That is the saddest looking bear I've ever seen in my life. And I just want to tell him to turn around because, there's some yummy moose behind him that he can eat, right? But the thing about this card too is, he's starving, but there are things around him that would help him survive. And just underneath the surface, right, we have these seeds that have been planted that are growing. 6, altruism. 7 is growth. 8 is discipline. 9 is accomplishment. 10 is wealth. The daughter. The son. The mother. And the father. So that is the Brady Tarot. It's a beautiful deck. Tons and tons of work have gone, the amount of hours the artist spent creating this, as someone who has taken printmaking classes and who has made prints, I can't even imagine, just the sheer number of hours that has gone into creating each of these pieces of art. And it's beautifully done. So if you have the Brady Tarot deck, let me know what you love about it, or maybe what you don't love about it in the comments below. And I appreciate everyone coming by and watching my review. And if you like it, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun usual stuff. Let me know what you want to see next. I do have a good collection of decks, and maybe if you suggest something that I don't have that I fall in love with, I'll get that and review that next. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for stopping by, and as always, remember, everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about, so be kind.